entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.
Gentlemen, once again, welcome to another great episode prepared for you of the CEO Show. Remember, this is the 33rd episode that we've been doing, 33 good weeks of doing this. But before we proceed, I want to apologize for the technical issue that we've had. We've come in late, but nevertheless, we are having it up and running. This is a show that always comes to you every Tuesday, and it looks forward to bring you great personalities, people in different industries, trailblazers in different industries. People are going to talk about their experiences. People are going to share their journey from where they began to where they are currently. And the main objective of this particular show is always to inspire you. It is always to educate you and also to provide insights in whatever you're doing, in academia, in business, or in any other field that you are in. And today, we have prepared another great episode for you, our viewers. Who is our guest tonight? Our guest tonight is a notable personality that I'm sure most of you have heard about him. You've seen him. You've interacted with him. There's a great personality that he's been around for quite some time. And talk about CSR, he's been doing it. Talk about academia, he's been doing it. Talk about study abroad, he's been doing it. Who is this notable personality? Our guest tonight is none other but Alfred Koech, basically and mostly known as Sergent. There's somebody that most of you have called him Mr. Green. I don't know why. He's going to tell us about that. But he has an interesting story. Most of you have known him recently about the achievements that he's made. But today we are so keen to delve into his journey from where he began, from back in the village, from grass to grace, from a humble background to a person that most of you admire to be like. Most of you have learnt a lot from him. Before he introduces himself, remember we are coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Please ensure that you comment where you're watching from, and also if you're getting us loud and clear, and tag somebody for somebody to know that you're part of this great conversation. And in the course of this particular bulletin, if you have questions to our guest tonight, please ensure that you ask on the comment section so that he will be in a position to respond in the course of this particular bulletin. Karibu Ambassador mwenyewe.
Asante sana.
How do you feel being on the CEO Show?
Well, it's a very good part of the show.
Okay.
And of course, I'm privileged to be here, to be your 33rd guest. I'm also privileged to have a great introduction. Mimi sijuangi niko na sifa kubwa hivyo.
Okay.
But for your viewers, I'm Alfred Koech Sergent. I come from Itigo in Nandi, a very unique village in Nandi called Itigo, with great personalities coming from that area. We've had great athletes, amazing people who've been through this, and many more that are coming to be very prominent from Itigo. So I believe that in this world we have past leaders, we have present and the emerging, and of course the future. And I believe Itigo will be bringing those people. So I'm from Itigo. I'm a last born of 6 siblings. So if you see me in town, you can call me Towet, but I've never been called so it will be an honor. Yeah, so I said I'm a last born of 6 from the village of Itigo.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, before even telling us about, now it's the first time that I'm knowing that you are the last born. But now the question is,
Yes.
why ambassador? Why sergeant? Where did that name come from?
That's a good, interesting point, Dan. When I grew up, my father was presidential escort individual. He worked with the GSU, and my uncles from my father's side, nearly all of them went to the forces. One of them only didn't, and I believe it was because of parents saying that let us have one of our own being at home. But many of them went to the forces, police, and the GSU. And my father used to tell us stories about President Kenyatta, because he used to take care of Kenyatta, the first president of this country, back in his home, the rural home. And he used to tell us more stories about Uhuru Kenyatta, that when he was young, they used to play together. And once President Kenyatta unfortunately passed on, he was moved to the late president, the second president, Daniel Moi's home, together with his brother. So I'm from a family called Kap Chamogos, Kap Torore. Our totem is Peliot, and we say that kiram girl goye moi. So sisi tukipita hapo, tukikanyaga chini mnapata maji ya kukunywa. So sisi ni watu ya baraka. That is why wanasema Peliot akipita hapo, kiram girl goye moi. So akikanyaga hapo kuna maji. So ni watu wa hope.
Okay.
We've grown to be people who are believed to be straightforward in what we do. So like I said, the sergeant name came because I wanted to follow the footsteps of my parent. That is my father. But unfortunately, because of some circumstances, I attended nearly 6 of the recruitment sessions for the GSU, for KDF, for even I went to the one for NYS. And the last one I did was for Kenya Port Authority, that they were looking for some security people to work with the... Oh, I did also KWS. All this, I was qualifying, but nilikuwa naulizwa umekuja na nani. So, ukuja na nani bwana, mimi nilikuwa najitetea, nilikuwa najipanga, nilikuwa najaribu kusukuma maisha kupata nafasi.
Hukukuwa na Godfather?
Sikukuwa na Godfather. Saa zingine tulikuwa tunaambiwa inua mkuu, kumbe watu walikuwa wameshaweka offer kwa mguu chini. Figure already iko huko. Mimi hata transport ya kufika, I tried in Kapsabet, I came to Kapseret, I even came to Eldoret. I went to the further end of Nairobi, but we didn't have an opportunity. I didn't qualify. The last way to just keep my body or my soul contented that I am sergeant is when I was leaving JKIA, because I had gone for a recruitment session, and I was also, of course, not successful. So when I was walking back to where my brother was living then in Tasha, I was always Alfred Koech. I changed it to sergeant just to make myself, I feel like I have achieved what I wanted. I wanted to be called that sergeant name. But of course I had to change it to a name that is not being deemed to be an imposter. Okay. So I came up with the Sergeant Sergent kind of pronunciation. Okay. So until today, the name is Sergeant. And ambassador came in when I went to Australia, and I became the ambassador of the University of Edith Cowan. I happened to have been given the opportunity to be the brand ambassador of the university in Africa.
Okay.
And yeah, that is where I got the name ambassador.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me take you back a little bit, because now that was now a self-proclamation
Yes.
that you are the
Yes,
sergeant.
absolutely.
It's about motivation, personal motivation, of which
Yes.
it did so well to you. But now, getting now to see your education journey, before even going to Australia and what have you,
Yeah.
because by you trying to join forces, doing all these interviews and what have you, the shortlistings and all that, but you didn't manage. But you grew in Itigo. You were schooled in Itigo. You were born and bred in Itigo. How was your journey growing up? Where did you go for your primary level and to?
Yeah. So thank you, Dan. And it's quite interesting, because today I went back to the school that I started studying. I started my school in a place called Tebeson Primary School. It's on a road on the way to on your way to Kabiet from Osoriet. And then I went there for it used to be called nursery school. Nowadays we call it ECD. So I went there for my ECD school. Thereafter I went to Cheptarit Primary. That was in, it is still in Mosoriot. Then I went to Malel from class 4. I went to Malel Primary. It used to be called Malel Mosoriot College Primary School. By then, it seemed to be an academy. It was one of the best primary schools. It was a cosmopolitan school whereby all students from across Kenya used to be and study, and many of them were from the area of the college where they used to teach in the college itself. So we had people from, Nyanza, from Western Kenya, and, that gave us resilience, because when we were in the other schools, we used to speak in Kalenjin, but when we went to these schools, we got people who were very smart, who used to speak in Swahili and English, and the schools used to give us challenge that we have to speak in English. And thereafter I came to a school called Borderlands Primary, just on the border of Nandi and Wasingishu in Mulango area. That is where I did my class 8. I passed well, but unfortunately I didn't join my dream school. I didn't even join the school that I was invited to go to because of school fees. And luckily I went to a school called Kosirai. And eventually we nicknamed it the School of Champions, because that is where I came to realize that I had talent. That is where my prowess in running came through. That is where I made a lot of friends and connected with many of them whom we're still friends to date. That is where I came to learn that resilience is the key in everything. Sometimes you wish to be on top there, but at times God wants to position you to a place whereby you will achieve your potential no matter where you are. And in Kosirai, we had a great opportunity of interaction. We learned to share. We learned to be in a group and learn and be together. We learned the meaning of sister and brother, because anything one of us would have, the entire class will share. And I will tell you to date, Dan, in Kosirai, the people that we completed the same year, we're still friends to date. If anything happens to one of us, we still go and journey together. And I remember during our time in Kosirai, we used to have something called interclasses. From Form 1 to Form 4. We won every competition. And I remember during the time of our last year in Kosirai, we had told the principal that if we win the interclasses for running for that year, we would have a big celebration. We would have to be double of what we've been given. Unfortunately, that happened not to be. And all of us said we are not going to have it, because if it is not going to be double, it is an insult to us, and we are not going until that promise was fulfilled. So I cherish them and actually still echo them, because we learned. And I remember during the last year, once we finished high school, one of our brother, whom was our head boy, passed on. And that is when we stood together. We came together, supported the family, And you know, it is in such instances that we learn the importance of coming together. So that is where I finished my high school. Of course, my O levels. I was a prefect and deputy head boy. I was an entertainment prefect for the first few years when I was in Form 2 and Form 3. Then became the deputy captain or the deputy head boy for the 2 years in Form 3 and Form 4. And also I was the cleanliness prefect. And as we say that cleanliness is next to godliness, I used to be very strict because you have to be clean to enter heaven. So I remember during my time I would, you know, have an opportunity to interact with students who are not in good school attire. And to date, those people tell me that, you know, what you instill in us is what actually we are using it now. So that is my journey through school. And then after high school, I had about 4 or 5 years of just hustling.
Okay, before now we go to the hustle now, Alfred. Yes. Just you grew like any other kid in the environment that you are in and what have you. But just the question that I always keen to ask, and also I would not spare you to ask the same. When you are growing up, a lot of young people and a lot of children will always be like, I want to do or I want to be this and this when I grow up. You in high school, when people are doing their career choices and even aspiring to be somebody, what were you aspiring to be as a student?
I would tell you the reason why I did mention that I was a prefect in high school is that they used to call me Mheshimiwa.
Oh.
One funny thing is they used to call me Mheshimiwa. And our part of being leaders in high school, we were going through elections, secret ballot elections. You would campaign for your position. And I would actually attend all the debates in school. I was a very active member of the debating club. And that is why they used to call me Mheshimiwa. I used to argue my points, and I used to be mostly on the opposite side, because that is where you have a conversation with those people who support the motion, and, you know, come out and, you know, at least engage and interact. You know, in this journey, for you to share, it is about interaction. It is not about who won, who gave the best points, but it is coming up to share and thinking together and having a conversation. And that is why they call me Mheshimiwa. And once I was in high school, when I learned that there is something called career, I wanted to be a lawyer. Absolutely. Everyone knows that I wanted to be a lawyer. And the reason why I wanted to be a lawyer was to then to vie for a position to be a member of parliament or senator. It used not to be then. So my ambition was to be a member of parliament, because my point was I went to do law, get to know the laws of the country, and then I'll be able to run for a position as a member of parliament. And that is what my mom knew, that everyone knew back home. And many of my classmates wanted to be pilots. I don't know how wamefikisha wapi, but yangu nilikuwa nataka kukuwa mjumbe. Na maybe in the future.
You never know.
I normally say me tai.
Very true.
Maybe kuna
very true.
Yes.
Back in the days, you are mostly on opposition. Do you think you're still on the same page up to now?
No, the dynamics of life changes once you grow.
Yeah. Okay, now immediately after high school, you've hustled a lot before getting an opportunity. People always see you the way you are currently, but they don't know the story behind.
There is a story. We lived in rental houses. I remember the reason actually I went to Kosira. I had passed very well. I would have gone to a national school. But when I used to see my siblings come home nearly every second week because of school fees, I told mom, look, mimi siendi shule ile ya boarding. And I can tell you, Dan, since class 1 to university, or to where I am, mimi nimeenda ile shule unaenda nyumbani na kurudi unaenda
You've never boarded?
No. And I believe I'm not going to be a very good boarder.
What was the inspiration behind that?
The reason is,
mimi
by then again, that the last resort that I had gone, I had Terige boys that given me opportunity. I had also the seminaries, a Mother of Apostles. Mimi nikakumbuka kuamka 5 AM kuomba discipline utaandikwe. Mimi nilikuwa very entrepreneurial when I was very, when I was in high school. Mimi nikaona biashara yangu kidogo nilikuwa nimeanza itaharibika. So I told mom, look, for me to complete high school, let me go to this day school. And I remember going to Kosera, and I hope Mr. Koech is watching this. Alinidoji. Kaniambia, man, your marks is not for Kosera. Kuja next week tutaona maneno. Kumbe anajua next week anaenda Mombasa heads meeting. Mimi nilijiombea shule. Akaingia nyasi for a whole week. When I went back, he's like, ni hepa because he didn't want me to go to Kosera with my marks. Later on, I went back, I told Mwalimu, look, it's a month after the rest have reported to high school. If I was to go to any other school, I would have gone. This is my lifeline. I don't have anything. This is what I know I will achieve and be able to maintain myself through. Akaniambia, wewe tunajua utakuja hapa form 1, ukifika form 2 naenda shule nyingine. I also had an opportunity to come to Wasingishu High School. By then it was the best professional school in the country, but it was a day school. So I worked on all those things, but my best choice was Kosera. Okay. And the motto of Kosera is only the best. Okay. And it is still only the best school. Okay.
Now immediately now after
after high school, I came went to the camp for running. I wanted to go to the US for through the scholarship path. And later on, I started going to Mujengo Bwana. Nilikimbia nikakuwa very good in running. And the reason why I went to Mujengo is there was an opportunity for people to go to Qatar. And you would go to Qatar, change your name, of course you'll change your citizenship, go to Qatar, get your name from Alfred to Omar.
Ibrahim.
Omar. Nikakuwa Omar. Okay. So mother told me, man, haiwezekani. Ubadilisha jina, sisi ni Wakatoliki. From Alfred to Omar. Secondly is by then walikuwa wanasema unaweza enda passport ichukuliwe sijui nini. And she was of against it.
By then, had you ever thought of going abroad? It was just a glimpse kind of.
I just wanted to go to the US because I had already I got my passport before getting an ID. My ID was a passport.
Okay.
So
you had the ambition.
I had the first thing I got after high school was not the ID. It was the passport.
It was the passport.
And once niliona madhe amekanyagia story ya kwenda huko Qatar, and I was on the peak, I would go run for Qatar for the under 20, and I was top in my running. So
you are doing good in.
Mimi nikasema, I used to train in Kapsabet. The current building yenye governor amejenga, and governor sikiza vizuri, hiyo ofisi yenye unajenga hapo ndio ilikuwa nyumba yangu, nilikuwa naishi hapo.
Hapo ndio ulikuwa umekomboa.
Kama nitarudi huko, acha tutasema hiyo baadaye. So so when I used to live there, I used to run. And when Mave kanyagia story ya kwenda huko, I said, man, I've done my best. I've run, I've trained. Unajua what I did? I went as if I'm going to camp. Na nikaingia kazi ya mjengo kule kwa Isagat kwa DL. Alikuwa ameanza kujenga factory ya tea factory ya DL kwa Isagat.
Just to hand something.
Because I was tired of running and never earning anything, and my nyota ilikuwa imeonekana na madhe ndio hiyo
akakata mbele
kanyagia story. Okay. Anyway, after that I went to Mujengo. Would do Mujengo Monday to Saturday afternoon. We would have a break on Sunday again.
How much are you earning per week?
I started as mtu. Unaona hizi wheelbarrow mnasukuma saa hii ati hustle ni. Hizo sasa ndio tulianza naye ma 2010 huko. I was a wheelbarrow guy. Kulikuwa na professional wheelbarrow drivers. Kuna professional watu ya kuchota.
So you had a DL in.
Mimi nilikuwa na driving license ya wheelbarrow.
Yeah, wheelbarrow. Okay.
Kidogo because of my networking nikajuana na engineer kidogo, nikajuana na watu ya.
That is when you made your first shilling.
Of course, your first pay. Hapo ndio ilikuwa my first payment in 2 weeks. Sikuwa tunalipwa in 2 weeks by then.
How much was it?
Roughly would say 250 per day times. Of course,
that was
of course, yeah, ilikuwa pesa mzuri.
Some good money.
So at the end of the day, we go on 2 weeks, unaenda na 20, maybe 6,000. Unaenda na, of course, kulikuwa na welfare hapo, unakata ya mandazi na nini. And eventually I was promoted to help our mason. Unalipwa 300. So sasa hivi ukituita tunakujengea nyumba vizuri sana, kabiro tunakupigia. Those was 300. And there was a lucky chance that came by. There was this guy alikuwa ameenda off, alikuwa anaitwa Kasim. Alikuwa ni machine operator. Akaenda leave sijui Western, sijui nani amepass. So the 2 days the machine did not run because Kasim was not there. So me, I told the guy who was Nyapara, or what do we call foreman, that so tupatie ratio ya hii kitu, tuone kama tunaweza fanya ile kitu. So jamaa said, oh, sijui nini, nikaambia come stand here, give us the ratio, I can mix, I can do this. I ran the machine that first day because we wanted to cast for the fundis to do the next day. So casting was good because you would do overnight. And overnight means you would be paid overtime. So me, I went as a machine operator. You know, a machine operator.
And you learned about it? Or
nothing,
it was just,
bwana. Mimi niliambia utupe ratio kwani simiti na mchanga na kokoto. Hiyo ni hesabu, si ya ratio tu 1 to 2 to 3. Tulisoma shule. Jamaa akanipatia hapo, akanipatia boys hapo, wako na muscle karibu 20 of them. Nikawapanga, tukaingia kwa machine. Tukamwaga koroga ya kwanza usiku. I remember DL came that night and we were on top of our game. Ilikuwa usiku saa 8. No one was standing, everyone was moving. So the next day came and said, look, who did this koroga here? I told him that young boy was here last night. He came, akatuita, akatupatia chai. So from then, me, I became a machine operator.
And that was the first time you interacted now with
That
DL.
was my first time interacting with DL.
Okay.
And it wasn't even my part of interacting with DL. It is the pay. It was 500 bob per day. Alafu uingie usiku, you would be paid 1,000 for working for the night.
2.
So times 2. So you would sleep with at least 1,500 bwana siku moja. Wewe umelipwa 1,500 siku moja.
Some good money.
That was good money. I remember that first time when I went to for my salary. I was paid around 20,000. I was like, oh my, kazi ya mjengo ni safi. Anyway, fast forward, kazi ikaisha ya mjengo. Tukaanza hustle sasa ya kujitegemea kidogo kidogo. Eventually we came to my last job ya mjengo was this kazi ya Camel ya sisters hapa shule. Hiyo fencing ukipita hapo, hiyo ni mkono ya sergeant. Hapo ndio nilimaliza, na hiyo ilikuwa yangu through my uncle, tukafanya pamoja. Ikakuwa kazi ya mwisho ya mjengo, and then now I started applying to go to Australia.
Okay.
But before then nilikuja nikafanya kazi hapa town.
Okay.
Ya kuwa broker ya manyumba, ya magari mengi nimeuza hii town. Mbao, nimechukua mbao huko Nyaru huko kwenu. Tukachukua huko Western, tumesupply mbao hii town.
Okay.
Me, I used not to stay without money in my pocket.
Okay. But now all this resilience, hard work and the determination, where were you driving all this inspiration? Because doing the mjengo work, because at this time and age most people will not go for the same work. But where were you driving this inspiration to do all these kind of jobs?
There's a part that many people don't know. That when we were young, and unfortunately in around 1998 to 99, mom and dad separated. And having separated, we had to live in a rental home. So for my sisters and other siblings, they went to high school. Me, I went to every rental home that my mom would tuliishi mpaka nyumba ya shilingi 500 kwa mwezi. Na hiyo 500 hatungeweza kulipa. I would go to school, get back from school coming home, and we would get the nyumba imefungwa. Kuna kifuli mliweka asubuhi. Jioni kuna kifuli kingine iko juu. Na unaweza fika baadaye kama kuna kifuli, na then we didn't have phones. Mama had been transferred to a school inaitwa kwa Isagat. And I would get home, there is no way I could communicate with her. The only thing I would do is kupitia kwa dirisha. Kubaka asubuhi, utoke kwa dirisha uende shule. Until she came back home from, she came back after a week or so from school. There is a time also we went to another place, uko Kamnyamisa. We got home, imenyesha, umetoa manguo zote ya kulala na kila kitu iko nje. That is when I saw mom cry, man. Like tumefika home, kweli tulikuwa na deni, but wametoa masufuria, mambo ya kulala, nguo zote ziko nje na nyumba imefungwa. So I said, look, I'm not gonna live this way. If there's anything I can do to make my life better and those of my family, I would have to work hard. If there's anything that I would do and make my family, live a good life, not a miserable life anymore, is to just pray God, work hard, and be sincere in what I do.
Okay.
So that is what has been motivating me. You know, for many years, many people have never understood that some of the time, personally sometimes, even if you talk to my guys, sometimes we don't sleep. We can be like here, the next thing we are in Nairobi, the next thing we are back here in Eldoret, because we need to fukuza hii kitu inaitwa njaa. We need to fukuza hii kitu inaitwa shida hii Kenya. And many people have come to LANDSON. They always say you are very humble, not because niko na pesa ama nini. I need to listen to what people say because I've been in that position. I lived, some of my sisters and brothers maybe had the chance of kukula huko shule. Sisi bwana, saa zingine madhara wanafika jioni. Kukula jana jioni na nafika kafu mkono utupu the next day. And this could be even during school holidays. You have, 6 or 5 siblings in the house. Kuna mafutata. Jana mlienda kuandika kwa duka. Hamwezi pewa hiyo. Hakuna chumvi. Umeona nyumba mpaka chumvi hakuna. That is how things were. Hakuna, yani the only thing that was available at that time and period ni mboga inaitwa chepkerta. Chepkerta ni mboga inamea anyhowly, anywhere. Free. So that is exactly what we would get because it was free. Saa zingine tuko na madeni, uko na deni ya 5,000. Those are those years. 5,000 kwa duka bwana, it's like 50,000 right now.
Okay.
So that is the thing that has been pushing me. Trying to make, effort to make ends meet for the betterment of my future, that of my family, and the generation to come before me.
Alfred,
Yes.
just to ask you, I know it can be somehow personal or what have you, but having come out of, having been a product of separation of your parents from that time, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who have been broken by separation of their parents and what have you, but what were the lessons that came out of these, that now your dad was no longer there, you were living with your mom, and you had to chart your way forward as a man? What were some of the lessons that you learned and you wish not to happen to even your future, your kids?
It's funny because it's not that most of the time we would not have a chance to meet with dad, but most of the time mom will tell us, if you want to go look for him, you would go. Siku ya ID, he was there. Siku ya, if we needed anything in terms of kusainiwa kitu, we would go look for him, angetusainia. But the most part is that the financial part that we needed, maneno ya chakula ilikuwa ngumu kidogo, and mom took that mantle to make the ends meet for us. And she instilled a lot of discipline in us, and I want to echo her for that because she used to say that if you happen, mimi nitajikaza, wewe umalize shule. Wewe ukishajua kuandika jina, wewe ukishajua kujua kwamba hii ni njia ya kwenda nyumbani, hii ni ya kurudi. Her main goal was sisi kila mtu amalize form 4. From there ni wewe ujipange na maisha yako. And I believe many of us in my family, that is what we followed. Sisi tulimaliza form 4, kila mtu unajipanga. Ni njia gani unaenda? The people who came on board kabisa, and I would never relent in telling them thank you, is the siblings to my mom, uncles.
Your uncles.
And my grandmother from mom's side. Huyo sasa alitusimama na sisi. Even we never felt that we were in a single family for a long time. Because they were there always for us in terms of school fees, in terms of presents, in terms of anything that we wanted. They were mostly there with us. And eventually, Dan, I will tell you, God works in a lot of, in a very different way. Wakenya wanasemanga Mungu ni nani. After 20 years or so of separation, Mom and Dad came back together, waka-renew vows, na maisha ikasonga well.
Okay.
So, but for those 20 years, maisha ilikuwa ngumu.
Okay.
Hakuna haja tudanganyane.
Okay.
Yes.
In connection with that, what can you tell the fathers outside there?
Man, if you have a chance to be with your kids, it is best that you be a present father. If you have a chance to have a family, you know there are people who don't have family. If you have a chance to have a family, be present and be with them whenever they need you. It is not only the presence but also provide. If you are a single mom there and if separation has happened, the best thing you can do is allow your kids to know who their father is, or allow your kids to know who their mother is, and always make efforts that they have that connection. Because it is very important. There are things that the father would say that mom would not tell the kids, and there are things that the mother would say that a father would not tell them. And the most important thing is identity. If you identify as who is who, or who you are, or you get to know who or what are your roots, it is very important to share that with your kids. You know, there are people, Dan, who don't know their totem. There are people who don't know their uncles. There are people who don't even know the names of their fathers. There are people who just know Baba as Baba, or know Baba because they are being restricted by their parents, or knows who their mother is because of some issues. If you have issues with your partner, it is not issues that should happen to be connecting with your kids. Kids should be separate, and you give them the best. Again, this was very innocent, and they should not carry the sins of their fathers. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember our guest tonight is Alfred Sergent, who is the founder and also the CEO of LANDSON Foundation, and he's sharing his journey to where he is, and it's quite inspirational to many of us. Please, if you are coming in, make sure that you comment on the comment section. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell us if you have a question to our guest tonight. Please ensure that you ask so that we can be in a position to ask in the course of this bulletin. I'm seeing a good number of people are coming in, and also just to acknowledge some who are watching. We're seeing Alfred Koech, who is Daktari. We have Nicholas Kipkalis, who is saying, kudos boss, I personally worked in a Mjengo site, and it has been a journey. Koech Isaac is saying that he's watching from Iten headquarters. We have Kiprono, this is very nice media, who is watching. We have Dennis Ruto is watching. We have Sylvia Kiplimo. Arapiego, there is some math that people are trying to do here. I'll help you with the calculator. Please tell us where you're watching from. Victor Cheriot is saying that we listen but we don't judge. And then Bedwell Kiplaga is saying watching from State House. Gilbert Kimtai is saying thanks for your pieces of advice. And then Duncan Chesosi is asking that what is your greatest fear? I think you'll be in a position to answer in the course of this particular bulletin. And then Elfas Kibiot is saying that Amhin is watching, and also a lot of you are watching. Please tell us where you're watching from, and also if you have a question for our guest tonight, please ensure that you ask. Now, Alfred,
yes.
Now after all that, yourself in Australia, how did it happen?
So Dan, like I said, I wasn't having plans to go to Australia. I was having plans to go to the US. And I tried the US, it became a bit of a hurdle. And then I came to learn of Australia through a friend that, by the way, angenichukuanga kama mtu yake.
Ikakuaje?
Baba ikachemuka. Because kuna beshta yangu tulikuwa tumepanga, tulijuana. Kujuana na yeye. By the way, I used to travel, like I said, I used to travel kwenda kuuza hizi mambo ya magari, kufanya nini. So there's a time we had got a deal with someone alikuwa nataka gari, na gari ilikuwa uko Nairobi. So mimi no thrift nilikuwa nimezoea. Mpaka kiti walikuwa wanajua kiti gani Alfred anapendanga. So when I was in this North Rift, tumekutana na mrembo hapo, anasema anaenda sijui kufanya IELTS. Me, I never knew what these things are.
What IELTS was?
Kaenda na yeye, tukafika huko, nikabadilisha namba. Akajiendea. So baadaye nikakuja kumuuliza, hizi mambo ulisema ni nini? I was very, very good boy. So mimi sikukuwa na haja na yeye. I just was keen to know. Because if I meet you, even if you are a stranger, I would strike a word. I want to get to know kwenu ni wapi, unaitwa nani, na kama nimejiendea. So when we were in this car, tumeongea na yeye, tumefika Nairobi, nimechukua namba, mimi nimeenda. By then mimi nilikuwa nakamulika mwizi yangu kidogo hapo. So baadaye after 2 days I called her, look, how was the exam? Akaniambia, by the exam are coming out in 2 weeks. Nilifanya ilienda vizuri, but of course I'm waiting for the results. So after 2 weeks I called her, hope you passed. This is Alfred, the one you met kwa matatu. I said, no, I saved your number, I still remember. Then now we met in Eldoret, we had some coffee. And during that conversation akaniambia, me, I'm going to a place called Australia. And by the way, huko mimi naweza huyu msichana alikuwa mtu mipango. Akaniambia, si mimi nimekwama bank statement. So utafuta hii kitu, alafu mimi nitakuweka kama raia yangu twende huko. Mimi ni nani? Nikamwambia acha nishughulike basi. Kama mimi tu ni kwenda
kutafuta
bank statement nipiga shughuli hiyo, watu wangu wananunuanga magari wanaweza tupea. Nikafanya hustle siku 2-3. After 3 days nikajaribu kumpigia, achukue simu. After kidogo baadaye nikapatana, kumbe ilikuwa ni mtu alikuwa amejipanga, amesahau maneno yangu. I think alikutana na maybe alikuwa ametupea offer watu watatu.
Jamaa mwingine
ameniwahi. Simu yangu haiendi through bwana. So me, I went back now to my uncle. Like I said, my uncles was people whom we had been together. I remember there was a place called Grand Prix around here. Nikakuja nikamwambia uncle, man, kulikuwa na hii deal kwa imeiva, na yeye alikuwa ananitengenezea maneno kutafuta bank statement, but kila mtu yangu ameingia chini. Si mimi sasa nianze hii safari nione venye itaenda.
You develop interest.
I can develop that interest. I started the journey. Now I went to Nairobi to search. There were no agents around here wenye wangekuwa wanafanya hii kazi. Kaenda Nairobi, kaulizia nikakutana na watu wengine hapo Westlands, wakanisaidia kunipea info. Me, I studied all this. I paid for my English. I did English. Sasa mambo ilichamuka is when I got admission from the university, from a college inaitwa TEF. So TEF is like TVET here. And then it was connecting to go to uni, so it was a packaged program.
So you had Australia in mind?
I've already developed that interest. But I sikuwa najua mtu sasa. Interest ikakuja, they sent me bwana bill ya fees ya 1 million. I remember taking that form, walikuwa wameniprintia, nimeleta, kaonyesha madhe. It was on an evening, nimeenda home very excited. Hey, madhe ananiuliza, fanya hivi.
Kakwambia tingiza kichwa.
Ananiambia wewe unajua me, I'm earning -30 because of loans and everything that I took when you guys were in school. Where do you want me to get the 1 million? I am already on debt. I am paying the loan. Actually, I'm going to work and never earning anything. I'm just paying off loan. Where hii milioni tutatoa?
Tutatoa wapi?
Dan bana, nikaona sasa nyota yangu
imezama.
Hesabu yangu ile ya jeshi ilianguka, sasa hii Australia imeanguka, inataka kuanguka mara ya pili. Ya babies ya Qatar imeanguka, ya babies imekuja kuanguka. Mimi nikamwambia madhe, look, mimi niache kitu. We went to 3 homes. Kujaribu kutafuta network bwana, kila mtu anaona bill, anaona kila kitu. Kakwama. The last resort is I went to my grandma's. Kaambia mambo imekwama. And hivi ndio imefika. And my grandma said, look, the only thing I can give you, she had a piece of land under her name, ilikuwa hapo Mosoria Center. Alikuwa anapata kashuga kidogo yake. So we had to, you know, to salvage the situation. Yeye mwenyewe akajitolea kauza hiyo. Tukalipa fees. And I managed to go to pay for my school fees. Now on my part, maneno ya kupata bank statement kwa shida. I remember I went to KO. Huko Nyaru. 7 good times. Yenye unaamka 6 naenda kuambiwa mzee ametoka tu saa hii Mungu kutana gate. Naenda ingine alimekwambia kuja leo, hiyo siku nafika unaambiwa alienda South Africa. The last one bwana yenye nilikuja nikakata roho nikasema ikae. Nimefika nimekutana na yeye akaniambia tukutane kwa ofisi hapa town. I sat kwa ofisi yake bwana, mpaka secretary alinihurumia. She gave me 50 bob akaniambia enda kunywa chai na uende nyumbani. Sat from 9. Cause nilimraukia 6 nikafika huko nikakutana na yeye around 7. Kaniambia tuende ofisi tukutane na kuja. Sasa mimi huyo matatu nakuja kwa ofisi hapa. Nilikaa bwana mpaka saa 10:30. Na secretary wake ananiambia hata wewe utaona mtu anakuja kweli saa hii. Nikaa 50 bob nikaenda kukunywa hapo chai. Nikaenda nyumbani. But you know Mungu ni nani? Tukaenda nyumbani tukafanya mkutano, tukajaribu kuweigh around who is one of the best people that would be able to help us. We found one angel whom came through for us. Tupatia bank statement, sasa fees tulikuwa tumepata. Hiyo bank statement tulipata after 6 months. It is not that after kulipa fees. In fact, I had to move my schools nearly two times. Ndio nipate hiyo nafasi ya kupata bank statement. But eventually I got the bank statement. I applied my visa. It took only 7 days. And we got it because Mungu alikuwa anajua hii kijana njia yake inafunguka. I got my visa in September 23rd of 2013. Okay. So, and I traveled to Australia in November the 15th of 2013, not knowing anyone. And with only, including 20,000 Sudi alinipatia, tukikuwa airport. Nilikuwa naenda Australia na 40,000 ya Kenya. Pocket money, kila kitu iko hapo ndani, na loan ya gogo ya 1.1 million. Na mimi nikaenda mwanaume bwana. Sijui mtu na sina namna. Okay. But as we speak, God has been very gracious. It has been a great journey in Australia. I went to school. The important part is nikumaliza shule. I became one of the leaders of Kenyan community in Western Australia. And also a small organization inaitwa Kitwek yenye tumeform ya watu ya Kalenjin. Vied for those positions, elected. Vied for the position of vice president, Kenyan community, was elected. I even vied for the position of student leader in high school, his student council. Okay. I went for the position of deputy president in terms of social activities. Hapo ndio kulikuwa na pesa. Okay. Ndio nikasema wacha niingie hii ya pesa. Okay,
Alfred, before now talking about your achievements and what have you, just to connect with a lot of, now we are seeing many people are traveling outside Kenya, for Australia, for different countries for that. But you going there during those days, going to Australia, you don't know where you're going to, and probably you had somebody who was hosting you. But now, many young people are going there. There are some even who are leaving Form 4 and directly going to Australia. What did you have a challenge of culture shock of what is happening? How did you absorb it? And also speaking to people who are going fresh to Australia, basically just finished Form 4 or who are going there after campus and what have you. What are some of the things that somebody needs to look into, somebody needs to consider before traveling?
Dan, thanks for that question. I think the most important part is for my advantage, I had, hustled in between this about 4 or 5 years after high school. And after that, when I went there, I knew what I wanted. I was the one pushing myself to go to Australia after failing to go to the US. I was ambitious, having seen what was before me. But now, most often, now the kid amemaliza tu school, hajaingia college hapa nyumbani, ajue mambo ya college na comrade inakaa namna gani. Unajua comrades wa huko ni matajiri. Fortnight ikiisha mtu ako na 1200 kwa mfuko. From high school to 1200. Hata saa zingine mzazi anaogopa kumpigia simu juu they are earning more than them. But the most important thing when you are in abroad, and I always say, it is discipline. The most important thing that will guide you through when you are away from home is discipline. Because no one is there to guide you. No one is there to prompt you. No one is there to actually, to to just
To
give
rebuke you
to
or-
rebuke you or tell you off. At times when you are here, your parents or siblings will tell you off. But at times when you are out there, unajua once pesa inaingianga na kiburi ingine kidogo. The most important thing is discipline when you are away, outside the country. Because you have to be disciplined to kupanga your program. That I have to go to work, I have to go to school. 80% attendance, marked attendance is what is needed in your visa. It is a visa condition. Secondly, you have to be disciplined, ujipange. Ujue hii pesa kidogo nimepata nitaweka kwa mahali ya kuingia pale kwa karo, nitaweka kwa mahali ya kuingia pale kwa rent. Acha niseme iko Kiswahili sababu tujui nani anasikiza, wajue tunapanganga aje hii maneno. Kuna hiyo kidogo umepata pia lazima ifike hapa nyumbani, isaidia nyumbani. And one thing that we need to understand also, Dan, is that in everything that we do, in everything how we carry ourselves matters. Because there also there is the issue of rules. The traffic rules in outside country matters a lot. Outside Kenya, traffic rules can even cost you your visa. It can cost you your citizenship. It can cost you anything. It can cost you job yako. Because it connects, system ya huko connects with everything. That when you are applying your job, there is something called police clearance. Once you have an issue with the traffic rules or drink driving or being a drunkard, it is reflecting on your police clearance. That is why I'm saying we need to be very disciplined once you go out there. And of course, in outside the country, there is the issue of mental health. It is big. We used to think that mental health is because people wamechizi ama people are, kuna mtu wamewaona. No. It is because of the things that we just pump into ourselves. And one scenario is that mental health can come from even forces outside us. Mostly it comes from, the siblings that we are supporting back home. It comes even from our parents. And I remember one guy that I reached out, the parent reached out to me saying, look, my kid hajanipigia simu. Trying to reach back to this guy, ananiambia bwana mimi nimelipia mzae loan ya 3 million alichukua, nimemaliza, amerudi kuchukua loan nyingine. Na mimi hapa bado najikakamua, bado najaribu kujijenga, mimi ni mwanaume, bado niko na fees na rent. So those are the kind of things, at times these young people huko pia wanapata hiyo challenge ya kubalance because they want to please their parents. Kuna hapa yeye mwenyewe, kuna shule na maneno ya sherehe. Na of course kuna time ya kukua na nafasi na marafiki zako. So all those things combined and no one is guiding you. Unaona hapo sasa kuna hiyo challenge.
But do you think, Alfred, there is a societal expectation and there is pressure from the society basically to you guys who are abroad?
Our big time. A lot of pressure.
What is now the implication of it?
The implication of it is people not going to school just because they have to work more. Za zingine pia acha niseme pia kwa Kiswahili done is that mtu kufanya kazi zaidi kupitisha ile masaa ambayo inahitajika katika ile makaratasi yako ambayo umepewa. Kama wamesema wewe kama mwanafunzi utakuwa unafanya masaa 24 ama 4, wewe sasa itabidi umefanya zaidi ya hiyo sababu kuna mambo hapa nyumbani, kuna fundi kule nyumbani, kuna school fees yako, kuna watoto pale nyumbani unafaa kuwa support. Na unajua shida moja ukisha support mtoto moja, huyo mwingine mwenye anajua ndugu yangu yuko ngambo na kufikia sema unisaidie. Akiona sasa useme mimi siwezi kuwa na usaidizi sasa hivi, anaona ni kama wewe umemkanyagia. Anaona ni kama wewe hujapenda maneno yake. Anaona ni kama wewe hutaki kumsaidia. Alafu sasa kuna mzazi, ukimtumia mama na mzae hapa anatarajia. Kumtumia baba, mama anasema gogo wa lago, gogo bakwan. Yani things like that one. Some small things that it will matter. And at times you want to give, priority to maybe mom aanze kazi hapo ya kuku kidogo, aweke maybe kitu kidogo hapo kaduka auze. Saa zingine pia you want to start a small business ya nyumbani run. And then, you know, because huyo mtu umemtumia hajafeel, that is how we feel, like hajafeel ile kupata hiyo pesa, they don't manage it well. And at the end of the day, saa zingine unajaribu kukuja holiday, unaambia zile ng'ombe 3 ulinunua January bwana, kumbe zilikufa. Na hujaambiwa bwana. Unajua heri hata saa zingine uambiwe kuliko uje upate ground na kuna kitu. People have bought land here but they got here and there is no land. People wametuma pesa ya kujenga nyumba na hakuna hiyo nyumba. So those are the many discouragement that we find that when you are away from home you tend to find, and it's a bit difficult to cope with once you are out there.
Okay, there's something that you've mentioned, and I'm also interested to understand, because now you've gone outside there, people expect you now to, even if you're not giving them back, but now the issue of investment. We've had people outside there who invest back at home just to come back to realize that they invested to a scam or to something that never existed. You've tried also on yourself investing in LANDSON and doing 1, 2, 3 that we talked with, but how do you advise these guys outside there, or how can they manage to invest correctly and ensuring that even 10 years later, coming back to Kenya, they have something that they can tell that this is what I went and I worked for, and make a living and a future?
Dan, we've had an opportunity to interact with many organizations, not only here but also in Australia. Nowadays we have property management companies coming down to Australia. We had banks coming to encourage us to invest in them. We've had a lot of different crews coming in to sell their products. But important is we have circles, and we've even started a circle in Australia called the Cardi Circle that brings us together. Importantly now, the best thing for us in diaspora is to invest in groups like these banks, the financial institutions. They give us loans. They also give us products that we can pay off plan. We also have investment property management groups that have been of help. I know of many people who bought through them. I don't want, of course, to mention their names because our jalipia time. So, those are the kind of investment that many people in diaspora have been making. Many of them have been doing the bonds, buying the government stuff and investing into them and getting the interest of it. But many often we failed because we used to do it through friends. We used to do it through family. Na hapo tuligongwa. Hapo kugongwa naye tuligongwa. But now we've learned the hard way, but now we are doing it the better and best way. Another thing done is that sometimes you have your siblings, your partners back home. Unatuma kumbe mtu anajiandikia ile kitu kitambo, unarudi unaambiwa
haiko kwa jina yako,
kumbe ulikuwa unatarajia kitu. Huyo mtu mmekosana na yeye na vitu imeenda. Hapo sasa ndio unasikia depression imeingia. Mtu amekwama kufanya 1, 2. So those are the things that it is a bit challenging when you're outside there. But we are managing. We are managing. Many of them and many of us have invested huko. Unajua saa zingine mtu anasema heri ninunue hapa kanyumba kadogo ndio nione venye inaenda vizuri than huko. Kuna watu wamefungua huko makampuni, they are employing. Kuna watu wamefungua huko service industry companies. So those are the kind of things that now we are learning. Yes.
And now, talking about your achievements outside there, you went there and you never sat back, if I can say so. You vied for positions and you are so aggressive into these opportunities. Has it impacted your life positively, do you think?
There is a friend of yours who did ask, what is your greatest fear? My greatest fear is not doing what I wish to do. My greatest fear is not if I think of something like this, that I would do it, fail, then I learn.
True.
I will do it, achieve, and I will still learn. And of course, I'll get something out of it. Why is say this is that I remember in 2017, I started giving out shoes. My first shoes that I donated, I had 2 shoes. And I went back to the primary school that I was, and there was this guy who had passed. Well, we had told them any person who achieved this certain amount of marks. My class that we sat during that year, we were the best school for 10 years straight. Best class for 10 years straight. No one had ever, beaten that record. And every time I would go back to this school, I would challenge the students who are in the last end of the year of their study, class 8s, that if you beat this number of marks, I will get you this. And my point was shoes. And I still give out school shoes. Every beginning of year, I come to Butter here and buy them school shoes. And the first shoes that I gave out was my own shoe, that I had 2 pairs, and I shared one with one of these guys. And eventually after that, I said, look, I want to start something to give out shoes and support these young people. And that is the LANDSON brainchild came in. And after giving out a few shoes, I said, look, I need to set up an organization to be giving out. And in 2017, we launched LANDSON office. And I said, look, I want to build an athletic camp in 2017. It was in my thoughts. 2019, after my graduation, I said my first investment that I will do without even building a house or anything for myself is building an athletic camp. It looked like something out of the blues. Where would I get the funds? I needed around 6 million to invest. I needed a piece of land. I needed all these things. Na mimi ni huyo nataka kuanzisha, nimekuja nikafanya ground breaking kwa some place hapo. When I started it, bwana, I was the first person kuchimba hiyo ground breaking for the foundation. But I will tell you that the only thing I had was hope. I didn't know where I would get the money, but I said I will build it. As we speak, the foundation athletic camp is complete and functioning. Sisi sio watu ya kutenga na kutenga. It is complete and functioning. It is a 30-bed capacity that we can host up to 30 people at the same time. We've donated more than 1,200 pairs of shoes. Today, as we speak, I gave out, some storybooks, some bikes, imported bikes from Australia, and also school running shoes for the young kids. So the only thing that we have to do and have in this country or in this world is hope. Na kujituma tu na kuomba Mwenyezi Mungu. Sababu ukiomba, ukikuwa na hiyo hope na ujitume, you will achieve what you want.
Now, Alfred, I'm so keen also to note this because I'm one person that I've always been following you, what you're doing. And you run a number of activities from where you're working, all those leadership positions, and now mostly you are in Kenya doing all these programs about going abroad, what have you. You're running also LANDSON Foundation. But now, how do you manage your time? How do you manage all these? You wake up so early. Where do you get all this energy to push it through?
Dan, unajua maisha na when you don't have enough, you have to wake up early. When also you have enough to maintain, you have to wake up early to keep the flow and to keep the float. I came to realize that if you want to achieve something, you have to wake up very early. Plan your day. By 10 a.m. at least umepata your first gig imepita. As we speak now, I have a meeting in Nairobi. By 9 a.m. I have to be in Nairobi. And getting there, no one knows. Maybe ni Mungu tu na kujipanga. So the most important thing is planning a very good, planning yourself very well. Getting yourself into the mode of achieving. Unajua kuna mtu ataamuka asubuhi aseme sina mpango. Unajua ukishajipanga useme sina mpango, mipango ni mingi sana. There are people who come to town hawana ofisi, but at the end of the day watarudi kama wamepata kitu. Ukikuja hapa town tu hata ukae hivi kazi haiwezi kosekana. There are people who've been coming from home to town for ages. But no one knows where they work, no one knows where they go to the office, but they come very smart. But hii town ukishafika hata kupatia tu mtu direction na kutembea na yeye kidogo utapata ka 50. Unaona? So mipango ni mingi. The only thing tu ni mtu sasa kukua na hiyo urge of wanting to identify. I saw some girl, I think her name is Vivian. She's here running errands. Anasema kama unataka shopping mimi nakudropia. Who even thought about something like that?
And she's earning from the self.
Na amejipanga hivyo anapata analipa rent na hiyo. So unajua saa zingine sisi tunasema hakuna kazi, hakuna nini, but there is a lot. There is a lot. And I always tell my team, I have a crew, I have a people who are behind Alfred. Of course I don't do it myself on my own. There's people who support me through LANDSON, there are people who support me through, you know, what we do kwa background. But at the end of the day, you know, personally I've invested on something called kukua na watu. The word is not coming out well. You know, that social capital. Mine is social capital. When I walk into an hotel, if you are paying 5,000 dan, me I pay 2,000 to sleep in an hotel. If I walked into a hotel, mtu atasema Sergeant, chai yako leo, achana na hiyo maneno mingi. Because of why? I have had opportunity to interact with people. I give information for free. These functions that we do in forums and forums, someone else would have said, look, kuingia ndani unachota karibu 100 ama 200. For us, we do it freely. We want to give you that information so that the way you want to use that information, it's up to you. But we're giving you legit information. We're giving you information that will lead you to the best part of life. We're giving you information that will, you know, give you opportunity to study abroad, give you an opportunity to get the best agencies. We're giving you opportunity to get the first-hand information about that thing that you want to do in your life. And we are doing it for free. And in many other ways, I've got a lot of referrals from people that say, look, Alfred, I was in your fora, my kid ameenda ngambo, bwana.
Thank you.
Asante, kunywa mafuta. Like usually someone came, you know, invited me for lunch. Little did I know that this person was going to gift me a car. And let me say this before we end this show done, that the very important thing that you can do to an individual who have supported you, be it amekuambia ama hapana, is kurudi na kusema asante. Mimi yule mjamaa alinipatia bank statement. Me, I went back. I said asante, I gave him a cow. Mpaka leo tukikutana na huyo mzee town, ananisalamia na mikono mawili. Anasema asante, maziwa bado mimi nakunywa. My grandmother, she still respects me to death because...
In fact, I was to ask that because somebody was asking, unaulirudishia shosho?
Mimi bwana, mimi I will tell you, and thank you for that gentleman or lady that have asked that. When Gogo gave me the shamba, mimi kwanza, I used to give her something at the end of the month because alikuwa na rental houses. So end month nilikuwa nakutumia ya sugar. Kumaintain hiyo ilikuwa ya interest yake ya kukeep the inaitwangu aje capital ila aliinvest. So nilikuwa namsupporting it through hiyo kama na push time kujipanga. But eventually after a year or so, mimi nilikuwa nimejaza hiyo 1 million. Nika deposit into my uncle's account, nikaambia ita Gogo akuje town, akula lunch, a relax. Alafu mwambie sasa ile maneno ndio hii. Do you know what happened? Gogo said, mimi I had not asked this young man anirudishie hii vitu. Lakini ni kama hii nchi ya Australia ni nchi mzuri. Sababu kama huyu mwanaume amerudisha hii kitu na sijamuuliza. Kama huyu mwanaume within 1 year amejaza. Mimi sitanunua shamba, mimi sitajenga nyumba. Ita mtoto yangine ya nyumba ingine, watoto ya Gogo mwingine. Akasema sababu nilishapatia hii nyumba, mimi napatia hii nyumba ingine. As we speak, bwana, we are 5 of us through your 1 million ya Gogo in Australia. 5 of us through the same 1 million. Imezunguka every nyumba.
And it has helped.
And it has helped. Hiyo inamaanisha that granny gave it to us na roho moja. I want to tell someone out there, if you have an opportunity to support someone, mwenye ako pale chini, umsaidie. Siku moja huyo mtu atakuja na kukusaidia na wewe mwenyewe ama afikie na mwingine.
Okay.
Yes.
Another issue that Alfred we can't miss to discuss about is in a few. We've had issues with our children and our students dying in abroad and what have you. Probably we can say rest in peace to those who have passed on, and you've played a critical role in expatriating the bodies and what have you. But is there a common denominator of what is affecting our kids out there?
Dan, it's difficult to put in or pin it down to one common denominator or a common factor. Then we always say, kwa hii dunia, at the end of the day, in one way or the other, tunaenda. Unaona. But at the end of it all, what we need to come back is the same thing, discipline. You know, there are some deaths that actually would come in and say, hey, this was preventable.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, huko kuna of course sherehe, kuna maneno ya ile chai ya wazee, kuna you know, ile excitement that you are buying your first car, you want to drive it in a manner that it is pleasing you, but it is not pleasing the rules of the road. There is also the you know, I remember there is a time TikTok ilikuwa imefika hivi. Some guys walikuwa na drive and live streaming and wanting to show that wanataka kumaliza hiyo kilometer speedometer. And of course there is also the issue of your exposure that you want to do things that you've not done before, but you want to do it through the peer pressure that is within you at that time and period. So those are the kind of things that leads to this. Like I said earlier, some might be prevented, but unfortunately it is said after that happened. But I want to encourage our brothers and sisters out there that let us follow the rules that are in those countries that we are in. Because the you know, eventuality that do happen, it will affect a long way. It will affect a generation, it will affect a family, it will affect a community. So the most important is, if you don't know how to operate something, ask. If you don't know how something works, ask. And inakuanga free. You know, you ask, no one will judge you. Nowadays we say, we listen,
but
we don't judge. You know? So that is the most important thing. And mkiongeleshwa venye mnaendanga huko ng'ambo, msikize. Na mkifika kule ng'ambo, mkutane na watu ambao wako kule. There are people who've been there more than us. There are people who've been there for 30 years. I met a professor in a university that I attend. He went to Australia in 1988. I was even not born, bwana, 88. Mtu amejua kuna Australia. There is a very good friend of mine anaitwa Kuria. Alienda Australia through running, bwana, 1992. 92, kuna mtu alikuwa amediscover Australia. But we still journey together. We still ask. Saa zingine ananipigia, Sergeant, nimeifika hapa, ninaendaje? Mimi nampigia, nimeambia chairman, mimi niko hapa. The most important thing that you need to do is ask those people who are there on how to maneuver around. Ni kama saa yenye unakuja Eldoret. Of course, kama hujui mahali tunaenda hapo kwa Dandan, tunasema bwana, ningependa kushonewa hii, ndio uambiwa basi sisi hapa kwa Dan tunashona hii na hii, but we know someone else. Unaona? But ukienda huko kwa mjuaji useme unaenda KVDA na huko KVDA hakuna mtu anashona. So unaona umepotea njia. The second part is there are people who would go to abroad and say sitaki maneno ya Kenya. At the end of the day, when anything happens, the same Kenyans who are coming to support you. It is the same Kenyans who will be on board to help you. And unfortunately, Dan, many of the people that have been bereaved or gotten these issues are people who had a disconnect with the community. It is good to say, you know, sometimes many people who wanapata shida ni wale watu watakangi maneno ya Wakenya. So sijui tutawasaidia aje. Sisi tutawaambia, wakisikia ni sawa.
Ni sawa. Okay, because I would wish also you to share in a nutshell about there are a lot of people, I've seen a lot of questions who have received what we call, they have been turned down in terms of visas and what have you. They have received a lot of rejection, and what do you call this in terms of in the application of their visa. You'll tell us about
Inaitwa refusal.
Refusal, that's the one that I've been looking for. Yeah, I think you'll share something about the same.
Yeah.
But as you're sharing your story, something came into my mind, and there is a great guy known as Damian Matelong. He has written a book by the title "Turning Your Moment into Greatness." And this is a young man this is a story that most people needs to listen to. And by that connection, he's launching his book, by the way, this Friday at Sirikwa. And the story that he has written resonates well with your story. So as you were talking, it came into my mind, and I thought it's very important that our people should go there and visit and attend his launch. That is Damian Matelong, who is launching his book, that is turning the moments into greatness. And that's a story that all of us, we need to convert that moment. Because from your story, I've seen that you've converted most of your challenges into greatness, and look who you are. But in a nutshell, opportunities abroad, and what are the do's and the don'ts that people need to look into for these refusals? Some are even almost giving up to these opportunities, just in a short while, because I'm seeing our time is much spent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dana would say that in terms of refusals, it is the good thing, it is called a refusal. We are refusing you this because of 1, 2, 3. We are not rejecting your application. We are just turning it down this time. We are refusing you entry because of 1, 2, maybe bank statement, maybe country stability, maybe you didn't provide sufficient evidence. Those are refusals. When you are refused a visa, it doesn't mean it is the end of the world. I know it is painful, it is a venture that it is draining in terms of energy, in terms of finance, but for someone who is, of course, always pushing through to get it, we do it again. I normally tell people that if you want to do it again for Australia, if you've got a refusal, do it after maybe 6 months. But there are also other countries that you can still apply. The US, you can enda leo uende urefusiwe, urudi kesho urefusiwe, urudi mara ya tatu upewe. It is only because of some small documents or each that you didn't provide. Unajaribu, sisi pia tumaipigwa refusal na bado tunaendelea kwenda naye. Unaona, sisi pia tumaipata nafasi ambaye yenye hatungepata kukua hiyo siku kupata hiyo nafasi, lakini utazidi kupata kurudi na kujikakamua na urekebisha ile kitu umeambiwa. The most important thing for those who want to go to Australia is provide all the evidence that is needed. And it is always okay that you can still have an appeal. Sometimes people don't know that you can appeal, that saying, I provided this, and on this day mliniambia this is what you wanted, and here it is. Many people wakipewa refusal hawasomangi hata reasons ama nini na kujua that we provided. And many often tunatrustinge sana agents that we don't want to go through the documents yenye inatumwa, na make sure that ile siku ya kutumwa ni kwamba agent ametumanisha hizo vitu. Once you've paid that commission to the agent takes responsibility. And if something that you had provided is missing, you can still have an argument and say, look, I want to petition this in terms of I had already provided this information, but the embassy is asking. Because many refusals done, saa zingine inakuja because of an error yenye agent amefanya. Saa zingine hizi errors pia ni sisi wenyewe hatujafuatilia. When you are making an application, make sure that you are following, make sure that you tell your agent akutumia hizo information before when the through, and then aeke hiyo submit button. But unajua sisi tutakuja kuacha hapa tuende huko Itigo ikaponjusma huko Singile Tagaranet, tunaenda kukaa huko tukingoja agent afanye hiyo kitu. So other things that people you have to check on your IME account. You can create an account inaitwa IME, even if an agent yeye ndiye ametuma, but you can still see what has been uploaded. How is your progress? Unajua saa zingine mtu anapata refusal na agent hajamueleza, anakaa 1 week or 2 kabla ajue alishapewa refusal. Secondly, I always tell people, when you are paying your school fees, pay it through your account. Let me make this clear. When you are paying your school fees, pay through your account or your parents' account. Because if you get a refusal done, those money will be paid back to the account that it was used to pay. If unatumia ya agent, kesho ya agent afunge mlango, ujue umechomeka. If an agent gets about 30-40 refusals, huyo mtu unajua hajafanya biashara. Na zingine anaweza enda off kwanza kidogo aende ajipange. Unaona wewe utaumia. So whenever you are making any payment, either to your health insurance or either to your school, make sure that you are using your own account so that if something happens, you get that money paid back to the same account.
Okay.
Yes.
And you mentioned something about skilled visa. People are looking for in terms of people have various skills. Are there opportunities outside there when it comes to skilled visa? In connection to a friend who was asking about somebody who has done biomed and teaching. Are there opportunities?
For biomed, I don't want to lie. I don't want to say I know much. But in terms of the health sector, there's quite a number for doctors and nurses. The teachers actually had a very good field day with Australia. They've been having a good opportunity for skilled labor in Australia. I think if I count, I know of about 20 teachers who've gone through to Australia, and of course from here Eldoret there are many whom I don't know, but I know of, if I count, around 20 between last year June to date that have come to Australia to be teachers. And it is through different pathways. There's a pathway that you can come straight as a permanent resident, that is through the 189 or 190 visa, that is state sponsored. You get a state, they sponsor you, and then you come there as a resident of Australia with all the working rights, with an health cover, inaitwa Medicare, and of course with the unconditional working conditions that you can work all over anywhere. And of course there is an opportunity of monthly entry. You know, kwa visa done, kuna conditions, and one of the conditions that you have to check is, are you allowed to enter it once or multiple times? So for this one, 190, you can enter multiple times, anytime you wish to go to Australia. And then there's a visa that is called as sponsor visa. That is the one that it's normally called 482, whereby you get a company or a school to say, look, Dan is a good teacher. You've seen his qualifications and is eligible to come and teach in our school. All this is done after you've done something called a skill assessment. Once you get a positive skill assessment, you now start application. One thing that is a requirement for skill assessment is an English exam, the IELTS. So once you do the IELTS, you do the skill assessment, you finish the skill assessment, then you start the application process of the visa. All this can take up to 6 months. You know, you have to be patient, and every stage in an involved person. But the advantage of the one for states, for the sponsored visa, 482, you get sometimes the school or the place you are going, they give you the rest of the relocation money. For your family, the transport, the visa fee, and all sorts. Yes.
I know that is a big topic that
big
definitely
topic
can't exhaust.
Yes.
I'm seeing a question, not even a question. Julius Yego, who is
Javelin guy.
a very serious sportsman.
Yes.
He's saying that hello at CEO. Alfred Koech is a good friend and also a confident in sports. Now that he's looking into leadership, not in sports, he's going for a calling or pressure peer. Go for what he has said. I wish him well and luck. We might meet in the corridors of power. Are you interested in any political setup?
Labda ni Yego anataka kusimama ama nini?
Because here he's saying that we might meet in the corridors of power in the near future. And what is it that you want to change in whom?
I wish to wish him well. I want to wish him very well. All the very best, Yego, in your venture. I know we've been coordinating with Yego in terms of sports. I've been coordinating with Yego in terms of quite a number of things in relation to our athletes. And Dan, you know, There's quite a number of things that do happen in between here. And when you walk, even ukitoka hapa town, na utembea uende nyumbani, there are a lot of things that you see that, you know, with a little push, it can happen. And in terms of leadership, you know, me, I normally have a slogan. Mimi nasemanga mie tai kesho huwezi jua. Maybe Mungu akisema, you know, many things is based on God's timing.
Okay.
If God says Alfred is having to be a leader somewhere, mimi ni nani nikatae? Na unajua pia wanasemanga raia, sauti ya raia ni sauti ya Mungu.
Okay.
Raia wakisema kuja hapa saidia sisi, mimi ni nani? So mimi nitaamuka, nimeitiwa kazi, mimi ni kutandika kazi na kufanya. Mimi siogopi kazi sasa.
Okay.
Kazi ni mimi na kufanya.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is a question also, but I think you had explained to some extent, but also at the tail end of this, you'll be in a position to respond, or your team will respond to these comments that are here. Somebody asked that you can explain more on the refusal concerning economic ties. I think that is, you had mentioned something, but your team will respond to the comments. And also, talking about now, you're one person that, as we go to, as we wrap this conversation in a few, you're one person that at some point, you've been, if I can say quote unquote, you've been made by social media, and sometimes in equal measure you are criticized, sometimes you are praised in equal measure, and there are people who, through social media, they have been rebuked, and at some point they have even moved to depression because of social media. How do you manage sometimes criticism in social media? Because you can't avoid it happens, but how do you manage?
That's a very good question. Dan, can I tell you, during the time of lower food prices, hapo nilipigwa bwana, mpaka nikashangaa mimi natoka Rift Valley, wewe natoka pande gani? Sababu hapo nilitandikwa na vijana wa nyumbani. Na mpaka majamaa wengine niliwatengenezea passport kwenda kujaribu kuanzisha maisha. You know, it is good when you are being loved and also having that head kidogo. Sababu inakubuild na kupatia opportunity to grow. Unajua ukikuwa ule mtu unapendwa na kila mtu, kuna kasoro mahali. Na saa zingine pia, you know, me, I'm not a yes man. Mimi siwezi kubali ile kitu. For people who know me, mimi kama kitu it's a no, and it's hawezi fanya anything. Huwezi ni change hiyo ati niseme no. Yes. If I see something it's a no for me. If I see there's a problem here, I say as is. Mimi, I've never been swayed because someone is offering a coin for me to change my mind. I've never been swayed to change my mind in terms of something that I believe is wrong. I always support something which is good. If I know this thing is good for the community or the society, I support it fully. Even if kama inapushiwa na ule mtu atakui, watu wampendi. Bora hiyo kitu ina benefits the hearts, ile kitu inatoa for the greater good. I support it. One thing that many people don't know is mimi ni mfanya kazi ya mtu. Ukikuwa unakufanya kazi ya mtu, saa zingine you post something, hata mpaka jioni ndio unakuja. For many years, I was not reading the comment section. For many years, I was not a student of comment section readers. I was not. Mimi nilikuwa naweka hivi, kama nimeenda. At some point in time, people used to call me, "Hey Alfred, are you okay? Naona umepigwa." Mimi hata some other comments nilikuwa nakutananga. Baadaye after one week nikuja niona, kumbe jamaa walikuja kuandika hii kitu siku nyingine hapa. Because you posted, you go to work, you posted, you are doing something, you get busy, it becomes too much of the day. Later on unafika nyumbani umechoka, umelala. So at times mimi sijisumbui juu sijaona. Ya pili, why should I worry of someone amenunuliwa bundles maybe na someone else who doesn't like you, akuja andike hiyo kitu. Na kama huyo mtu mwenyewe amejinunulia hiyo bundle, mimi simjui. Mimi sijai kutana naye. Ako huko kwa Ndavilet. Mimi sijai onana na yeye hivi, nijue huyu mtu anatoshana aje. Mbona hiyo inisumbue? So those are the kind of things that I normally say, bwana. Mimi ile maisha mimi nimepitia, ni mimi kujipanga nisipitie hapo. I have no to worry about someone else who is thinking of writing something to think is bullying me. If we are to bully, sisi wote ni bullies, tunabulliana hapo. But the thing is, if you are not giving me something that's substantive, substantial, something that will help me. Mimi hata hiyo hainiingiangi kwa kichwa.
Okay.
Alafu wewe mimi sikujui na sitajai kutana. The only thing and the only person that I can feel if is my brother ama mother ama ni mtu ya nyumbani ya karibu hapo mwenye ananijua andike Sergeant, si wewe hii viatu unapeana umeuza leo na inafaa upeane bure. Ndio nitasikia sasa uchungu nisema hii jamaa yenyewe ameniambia ukweli ama aseme ile kitu tulipewa juzi mbona umefanya hivi. But mtu mwenye ako mbali hata hatujuani mbona, and I know done in purity of my heart that something I've done is out of goodwill and someone is trying to turn things to look as if hiyo kitu nimefanya ni kitu mbaya sana. Like today I gave out 2 bicycles to school in Tebeson. People are saying wanafunzi ni 300 baskeli mbili itatumika aje? There are students who are from 10 kilometers away who maybe are 2 or 3. The rest of them are coming from within. Should I give a bicycle to someone coming from the next neighborhood of the school? Those 2 students who are coming from far end of the school would get an opportunity to ride this bike to go to school, and then at the end of the year awache hiyo baiskeli mtu mwingine akuja apate. In the next 1 year or 2 that bicycle itakuwa imeoperatika na wanafunzi 6 or 5.
Okay.
Na watu wamepata hapo yao wameenda kwingine. Is that not an achievement for that bicycle? Mwenye anasema mungaleta baiskeli 200 hata yeye mwenyewe hajanunulia yule mwanafunzi mwenye anaishi hapo ama mwenye anahitaji hiyo baiskeli storybook moja.
Okay.
Mtu anakupanga ukikuwa uko mbali, anataka akupanga ile kazi wewe mwenyewe yenye umeona hii yenye the uwezo yenye naweza
out of your own volition,
out of my own uwezo nimejua hii naweza hapa. Hata sadaka wewe ukienda kanisa utatoa ile uko naye kwa roho ama ile unafikiria pastor anataka utoe.
It's what you can.
Si ni ile what you can.
Yeah.
And that what you can is absolutely what you would be able to actually achieve more because umetoa kwa roho mzuri.
Okay.
Sasa kuna huyo mtu anasema Sergeant toa baiskeli 600 ama 200 na baiskeli moja ni 20,000. How would I get that money? Kama serikali yenyewe peke yake inaweza kutusupport saizi wa Kenya kabisa tuendelee hivyo. Na ni watu wako na pesa na wanajua pesa iko. Sergeant atatoa.
People will always criticize. That is the bottom line.
And why should
whatever you do.
And now if I worry about those individuals, nitasonga kweli?
No.
Yes.
Just in connection as you respond as we conclude this conversation, I think you'll tie this with the LANDSON Foundation, your future, and 5 years later, 10 years later, where is the vision of LANDSON Foundation? In connection that, would wish you to respond to what Kevin Kwamba is asking. That Sergeant, do you have a program for mentorship, to mentor young talent in secondary schools? There are many young people who lack mentorship. In connection to your vision in LANDSON Foundation, what is your plan in mentorship, and do you have such programs?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Dan. We've had an opportunity to interact with athletes, the young people that we support. By the way, LANDSON, for those who don't know, is we say talent for education. We support kids from humble background, Dan, whom are in school. So ours is purely school and education and running. So we give you an opportunity to go to school through your talent. We've partnered with different schools that embrace talent, and then we identify students and bring them to school. We pay them a boarding fee.
Okay.
We buy them school uniform. We buy them school shoes, and then we give them running or training apparels or gear. And then every time when they are off school, they will come and stay in our camp during that time of training, or during that time of school holidays for training. And eventually we connect them to universities in the US for scholarship. Some we connect them to different athletic camps for those who want to venture into the commercial sector. But for us, we are purely on students, and then once you finish your high school, you stay with us for 1 year. Ujipange kama utapata scholarship, ama utaenda mambo ya commercial running. But in terms of mentorship, within that period and time, we starting to run programs whereby we take you through maneno ya financial mambo ya kukuwa knowledgeable in terms of finance. We
Financial
know
literacy.
Yes, literacy, that was the word. You know, many often we find, and unfortunately to say this is, if you find a champion that won Boston maybe 2000, Boston 2005, they are broke in the village because those money was misquandered in a way that it wasn't pleasing the Lord. And saa hizi huyo mtu hakuweza kutumia vizuri. Unajua, I remember we were at Jose place on Saturday. That is talent.
Yeah.
And one thing that Farouk said, he told him, hii mambo tumekuchangia, take time, know what you want to invest in. And if you don't know what you want to get into, you know, seek knowledge from people who are expertise in an area that you want to invest in. Because at the end of the day, there are people who are looking, and there are people who would just want to come and spend that money with you, iishe wakucheke.
Squander.
Mutakuja hii town mgonge useme kuna mtu amenipenda na huyo mtu hajakupenda. Amependa pesa yako. At the end of the day, utakuja kubaki peke yako na watakucheka na umesonga. They've not lost anything, but you have lost it. And that is why we're starting now to come up with programs whereby we are mentoring these young people in terms of financial literacy. We are mentoring them in terms of how to present themselves. We're mentoring them to know and understand that when you are signing a contract, you need to sign a contract which you've understood what it entails. You know, there are people who would sign a contract, hawajui terms and conditions, hawajui what will happen. And it is unfortunate that I've been seeing the parents of Kiptum always complaining because there is a disconnect between, you know, and I don't know, many people are lawyers and sign a document, not because there is an issue, but because they have not been knowledgeable enough to know that kuna njia moja ambayo ukitumia legal yako na kila kitu vizuri.
Yes. Now, just another, this is Pastor Nathan Kiprop who is appreciating you. He's saying that Sergeant is my good friend and nisaidia sana kupost my motivational talk videos on his pages. Nashukuru sana Marakwet, help us plan for motivational day in Kapsawal Marakwet. For all Marakwet youth pastor, and I treat that as an appreciation from this great pastor. And then Alicia's Kipkuru is saying that hello Sergeant Alfred, I've been following you for your programs now for almost 3 years, and now it's high time for you to come to Kabiyet Mosop constituency to host, to exhaust to us more about studying in Australia. And many who somebody is asking, you know, this is, are you a family man? Then SM Kipto is saying about abroad, could you tell us more about Amazon Limited? I think we'll respond on those questions and many more that are still coming in. So Alfred, as we climax this conversation, we've seen a lot of people are complimenting you for what you are doing, and keep doing it. That's very important. As we wind up this, just having that as your camera, what is it that you can tell the young generation outside there tonight?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan, for hosting me and being here. Having this opportunity to be a guest here is always privileged. I remember when you started it day one, and now you've said that there are 33rd. I'm the 33rd person sitting here today. It's a privilege to be on the CEO show. And I believe you know how it is to run a program.
True.
It is hard. I remember when I used to run a program or host a show, sometimes you reach out to a guest and then they will cancel the last minute. Sometimes the guest would come in, but the network would be the problem, or the technicalities of these machines that we're having. But you've pushed on. You know, investing in all this. Watu sahi wananiona ni very brown. Hapa light ziko na spread safi sana inasafisha mtu. There is a lot of investment and purely on time as well. Sahi ungekuwa nyumbani bwana umepumzika huko unatulia unangoja kesho. But you are here giving stories and hosting us and giving us platforms. So tunakushukuru sana. For that person that is right back there sitting, watching, and maybe tomorrow following on what we've discussed today, The only thing I can leave you with is, you know, have faith, have something called hope. In anything in life, the only thing that you can have is hope. Hope that tomorrow is going to be better than today. Hope that the next thing that you are going to do is going to be achieved. Hope that you know, the future is bright. They always say, in everything that we do, there is a tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is a belief that I've always held, that if any door that is, if we've lined up all these doors around here and then I knocked on the first one, I believe the next one will be mine. And if that next one isn't, there is that one door that is going to be next that is going to open. Knock on those doors until yours is opened. Don't knock 2 or 3 and then wewe umechoka unaenda. And finally, for those people who are online, important is know how you use your handles. Personally, Dan, I've never met someone saying umaini tusi. I've never met someone saying uliwai ni post vibaya. I've never met someone who doesn't compliment on what I do online. And like I said, mostly I ride on, you know, the social capital that I've invested. Not only for those who have met personally, but also those who have shared stories online. We've built homes for people I don't know. We've shared stories for people I've never met. The last guy that went to the US through green card, we've never met with that guy. Never in my life. But he went through the support of LANDSON and my friendship with the people that they were supporting him with that. You know, it's a gentleman that even did not have a passport to come Saidia, to come patia hiyo manjia zote. Until now, the guy is in the US. You know, it is important that the handles that we have, we use it in a very good way, whereby we used to encourage, we used to build connection, we used to give hope to those who doesn't hope. And of course, if we have people who trust you and you say tusaidie mtu na huyo mtu asaidike, huyo mtu akipona, ile baraka tu kidogo hiyo mtu akiomba jioni anakukumbuka, hiyo itakupatia nafasi. And when you always do something, don't you do it to expect you know, something out of that what you've done. Do it with purity of your heart and the rest will fall into place. Najua kuna mtu atakufanyia kitu sababu anangoja hiyo ka reciprocation mahali. You know, do it with the mentality that, you know, if it was me, mtu angenifanyia hivi. Yeah, so let us use those handles very well, because at the end of the day, sometimes when you want to go to other countries, they would ask you for your handles. And wakifika huko wewe ni mtu ya kutusi watu, saa zingine hata hiyo visa refusal inakujanga through those kind of things. There are those employers also that you apply for work, wakuja wako search online waone, Sergeant ni huyu amekuwa hapa live saa hii TikTok, ama amekuwa live Facebook akitusi mtu ama akifanya nini, ama wewe mwenyewe unakuwa na uoga kwa vitu ambayo unafanya sababu ni ile vitu unafanya kule online. Mimi done out of this online platform, like you said earlier, imenijenga, because unakutana na watu wanasema Sergeant bwana tupige picha unipost, because mtu anajua hiyo platform ukiwekwa kuna mazuri. Uki-identify na hiyo platform unapata nafasi ya kujijenga. The many people that I've worked with through my platforms, mtu anasema bwana ulinipostia ile kitu yangu, hiyo kitu ilinunuliwa hata haikufika jioni. There's a guy who sell mbuzi in Narok. I posted, alikuwa anataka kuuza 10. Alipata order ya 400 mbuzi. And I didn't even ask for one commission from that guy. Huyo jamaa tu juzi amekuja nyumbani ameniletea mbuzi 3. Akasema, Sergeant, asante. Zile mbuzi uliniwekea, I had 400 orders, but mimi nilikuwa na 10 tu nilikuwa nataka kupeana. Eventually nikauza 40.
Thank you.
So those are the things that we need to do when you are in this world. Do something that is kama ingekuwa wewe ungefanyiwa. We leave this world a better world and everyone will be happy.
Thank you, Alfred. It's been an honor having you tonight in this particular show. Like we've been looking forward to have this conversation for quite some time, but the Lord has made it happen tonight. It's been an honor, and also we feel so obliged to have this. So thank you so much. But before we wrap it, I have to request for you, this from Friday on 7th and 8th, I've mentioned to you that we have 2 events that are going down, but I've not mentioned the other one. The first one was about the launch of the book of Matelong Damien, that is turning your moments into greatness. Like, if you can buy one book goes for only 1,000. I think to our viewers, if you can get 1 or 2 books, I'm sure our worthy viewers will be in a position to get it. So that is something that I'm sure you'll make it happen.
No
And then there is an inspiration from one lady known as Chela Kipkorir. And Chela Kipkorir is one amazing lady. This is a lady that has proven that disability is not something that should pull you back. And by doing so, she's running an event this Saturday. That the event is known as Vision Beyond Sight. That is, this is a blind lady, but she has done great things. And she's running that particular event this Saturday. And one ticket is going for only 2,000 Kenya shillings. I think you'll sponsor one viewer tonight for that viewer to attend this particular show on Saturday. It will be running from 8 in the morning up to 1 at Gaba Catholic University. This is a rallying call that disability should not pull anybody down. And this we are going to learn a lot from this lady. Chela Kipkorir is running this particular show. So that is something that I'm sure you'll do and you'll support. I don't want you to nod on this because we can have this conversation again. Yes. Thank you, Alfred, and thank you, our viewers, for coming through to the show tonight. It's been amazing, all your comments that you've dropped there. I'm sure that our guest tonight will be in a position through his team to respond to a lot of questions that you've asked, because this is a conversation that always goes even after this show. It's not only a live show, but also after this show, we will be in a position to respond to your comments. I want to appreciate you for staying tuned for all those hours to this conversation. The reason why we are still keeping on is because of your support and because you've always been part of this. The question tonight is, what is it that you've learned from our guest tonight? Drop on the comment section, tell us what is it that you've learned and what is your take home from this particular episode. Until next week, we'll be looking forward for another great and amazing episode from another guest. I'm sure you are looking forward to it. Please don't miss, always same time, same place, same handles. Make sure that we keep this conversation going. Remember, I was your host, Dan. May God bless you and have a good night. Thank you.
Rather, let's go moments only. 7th March 2025, this Friday, I want to welcome you and we celebrate how every moment in life has all potential. Revolution. Thank you. This is Damien Matelong. Allow me to greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm an author of a book, Turning Your Moments into Greatness. I'm a consultant, and sometimes I also do teach. And I always say in life that life is not a journey, but rather let's go moments only. 7th March 2025, this Friday, I want to welcome you and we celebrate how every moment in life has all potential. Revolution.
Financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring